How's it going, everybody? This is Nathan at Kitten Equipment Company. We are Northern Kentucky's premier 5-paw Kioti dealer. We service the greater Cincinnati area, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, all the above. And we've got a special video today. I've finally got one of my biggest competitors here in stock as a trade-in. Somebody traded it in for a little bit larger model, and they are you can look at specs, you can look at numbers on the internet, and you can talk to people and look at raw data and pricing and try to get an idea, but until you actually get something in your hands and you can really look at it and look at the way it's made and look at some of the standard features and drive it and kind of get a feel for it, you don't really get a good idea. So I finally got it. We are dealing with a Kioti CS2220 and a Mahindra EMAX 20S. So they are both manufacturers, entry-level, subcompact, very, very popular tractors. We sell an absolute ton of them here, and I'm sure Mahindra does too. Almost all of your manufacturers sell more subcompacts than any other model. For the most part, they are just really popular because you can mow your grass with them, and you can also do some larger tractor stuff with them. I actually have a CS2220 at home. I thought about bringing the Mahindra home and actually doing something there, and I might do that later, but as of right now, I don't have time. So I'm going to do a quick walkover of both of these. It may end up being not so quick. There's a lot of information to go over here. There's so many different little things I want to point out. I'm going to go over everything. We're going to talk about the loader, the engine, the models, the who makes what, front axles, operating stations, all these different things I'm going to go over on both. And then we're going to talk about pricing, and that's really, I think, we're going to send it home. I don't normally talk bad about other manufacturers. I like to sell the Kioti for what's good about it, and you can compare that to everybody else on your own. So I don't usually make a big deal about what's bad about everybody else, but I'm going to be really honest on these two models. I'm going to show you what I like and don't like. The Mahindra has a few things going for it that are pretty good, but I think if you look at the overall picture, you'll have to get to the end of the video to see, but I'm pretty sure the Kioti is going to eat it alive. I'm going to talk about a lot of specs and numbers, and I'm going to post that stuff down below in the description. I also might get fancy and do a little bit of highlighted comparison numbers between the two as I'm talking. And after all that, we can make a decision from there. So we'll start at the front and we'll take it around back, and I'm going to cut this into a few different segments. So stay with me. We'll jump to the loader. Okay, here we are. I've got both loaders set up in a position where we can actually see them. So we'll go over the Kioti loader first. This is the SL2420. It comes on all the CS20 series, whether you have the CS20, 2220 or the 2520. Remember, Kioti doesn't differentiate between the 22 and 2520 except for in horsepower. Both models are identical. The only thing that makes them different is the engine horsepower. So the SL2420 has a 1,000, I'm gonna look at the spec sheet here, make sure I'm right, 1,062 pound loader lift capacity to full height at pivot pin. Full height for this is 73.7 inches. So 1,062 pounds, 73.7 inches is a ridiculous number for a subcompact tractor. It is the highest around. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any tractor that is considered the subcompact size, the first one, if you can find a loader lift capacity higher than that, then show me, tell me about it. That's just, it's really high. We were really actually surprised when Kioti released it. We expected it to go up a little bit like they normally do with every generation, but not that much. I mean, that's just phenomenal. It's so much that we don't even like to let them leave without rear tires filled, because it can almost become a safety thing. This is actually an incredibly heavy tractor. Total tractor weight for both. Well, actually, let's wait on that. So 1,062 pounds to full height at pivot pin at 73 inches. 617 pounds to full height at pivot pin at 71.3 inches. So that says a lot, I mean, that's normal. Don't get me wrong. 600 to 700 pounds is pretty normal for most, Kubota, John Deere, everybody else. It's all around there, but we haven't talked about money yet, so just wait. We'll go on to that about money and everything else. Let's also talk about construction and the way they're made and the way they come on and off. The Kioti is really nice. This new 20 series loader we actually had a lot of luck with. It's real nice, heavy, greasable pins. Good loader frame construction. There's not a lot of flex in this. Like I said, I have one at home and I use it a lot. I don't experience a whole lot of flex or issues. Real good solid welds all the way through. Another thing too I always like to look at is the way the hydraulic lines are run. So we have nice hydraulic lines. Let's look at the actual busy side. Hydraulic lines run on the inside of the tractor, real clean and well made. Nice here. Underneath where they go across is a nice steel tube so that you can't catch them and rip them off or get them cut with stuff. Where they mount to the tractor, again, is on the inside, and this has what we call a tractor mounted loader valve. So it's mounted right here underneath the tractor, and the steel lines run to it. So what that means is you get a nice clean on and off both sides of the tractor. It's also a lot more comfortable because it sits right where your right hand is as you're using it. And it's not nearly as much junk hanging up off of here that could be more likely to get caught on something and ripped open, and then you get a shower of hydraulic fluid that we all like. So that's the Kioti side. Also, the quick attach system, I want to go over that. So the Kioti quick attach system got changed with the new loader as well. You have a nice metal arm, big square tube metal arm that comes down on both sides and pins up. And then you have these two latches. So the arms, or the legs rather, hit the ground with the bucket, and then these latches come loose. You pull them and they come up, and then with that you just curl the bucket and the loader frame comes up. It's phenomenal. It's really, really good. On the Mahindra side, so this is a current production loader. Again, this is actually a trade-in tractor, but this is the 23L. It's a 2020, I believe, so this is all current production. So the 23L loader, you still have armored lines here. They're armored by a plate, but where they actually hit the cylinders, everything's a little more messy. So not quite as much coverage. Like this big line hanging off of here would make me nervous. It just depends on how heavy you're treating the thing. If you're really working it, you can get worried about stuff like that. But the actual loader frame itself is significantly thinner. The weight of the loader is less. The pins are smaller, but that's not as much of a big deal. The real big deal to me is this. So this guy is sticking 1.5 feet off on the right side. There's no way I'm getting on and off on this side. I literally have to move this out of the way. I have to take this off to be able to climb on this side. So you can only get on the driver's side, which is fine, I guess. But it's also all very exposed, hanging up in the air. You have, again, line here, lines here. The quick attach system works the same way, so these pop off here. They're all quick attach, but everything's exposed and in the way and kind of ugly, to be frank. So there's the loader system. The quick attach system is similar, but you have just two pieces of flat steel instead of two tubular legs, and they just hang here. So these pin down, and then you pull these two pins, and the loader comes off the same way. So something to consider there. They are both skid steer quick attach. So up front you have your two skid steer arms, although I would argue that these are not nearly as heavy as these guys over here. So I don't know, look at them yourself in person, you see what I'm talking about. They're both 48-inch buckets, so that's fine. I like to talk about the grill guard too. So the grill guard on the Mahindra is this fork here. That's factory. That's not, nobody made that, like that's factory made like that. So I don't really see what the point is whenever something can come right up through and look, it's already happened. He's already had it happen once. Whereas the Kioti has a little more coverage. I'm not going to say it's perfect. There's still some holes here, but you've actually got some coverage on this grill guard that's going to stop branches from coming through. So these are both standard. When you buy that loader, you get that grill guard. When you buy this loader, you get this grill guard. So that's the loader. Remember, 617 pounds, 71 inches off the ground, 1,062 pounds, 73 inches off the ground. So we've talked about the loaders. Let's go to the engines and the bays next. Okay, now we're gonna look under the hood of these things. So I was actually kind of surprised, and I actually figured out the mystery of the grill guard. I know why it's made like that. These have Yanmar engines. The Mahindra came with a 3-cylinder 60.5 or 61 cubic inch Yanmar diesel. Actually, I think it's the same one they put in the John Deere 1023. So I was actually really surprised by that, the diesel they put in here. But what that also explains is why the grill guard is shaped like that. So these hoods, they come up differently. So this one is steel, so is the Kioti. The Kioti is steel, which means they're heavy. But this one comes forward, so there's a lever here and you pull. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. There we go. And I was really surprised, look, there's a strap It's literally held. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know if the John Deere does this, but there's a strap that holds this hood up. I thought that was so funny. But that's why the grill guard has to have a hole in it, because the hood goes there when you open it. That's interesting. Anyway, so under the engine bay, the Yanmar is a 3-cylinder, like I said, the one out of the John Deere. Very accessible and serviceable, just like on the Kioti. Most subcompact tractors are pretty easy to work on because they're so small. You know, we're only dealing with 60 cubic inches here. There's plenty of room to get to things. We'll go over that in a little bit. On the Kioti, we open it from the front. There's a little hook, pull that, pull the hood up, and it's got a nice hydraulic cylinder that keeps it up. So again, we have all the access to stuff right here, and we don't have to worry about the grill guard because the hood goes up, doesn't go forward. So a big difference between the Kioti engine and the Yanmar engine in construction, and this is kind of like a hot topic if you talk to subcompact tractor nerds who really get into these things. The Kioti has the radiator in the front. The Yanmar has the radiator in the back, and it's drastically different if you look at them. You know, there's less going on up here than up here. So let's talk about why you'd want one over the other. I don't really have a preference, but do's and don'ts and yeses and nos and what makes them good. So the Kioti radiator being in the front, what that means is it's very easy to get to clean. On a diesel tractor, these water-cooled systems, they collect a lot of dirt, a lot of air travels through. So this little filter here you have to pull out and clean routinely. Also, the radiator being in the front gets a lot of airflow, so you don't have to worry about stuff being in the way of it. It gets a lot of air. It can be a little bit weird whenever they're in the back. You have a lot of stuff in the way. You know, the hood is here, and you have a lot of stuff getting to the radiator, so it's not quite as easy for it to get air. It's got a hot engine right in front of it. So they may have a little bit more heat issue than another design, but the benefit of it is it's out of the way, so it's a lot less damageable, right? If you have a stick or something come up through the bottom, it's harder to poke this than it is to poke this design, because this one's right in the front. So maybe we need a little bit heavier grill guard because that's in the front there. But those are, you know, the benefits and risks of both designs. This one's going to be a little bit better cooling. It's going to be a little bit easier to maintenance and to clean. It's a lot easier to change. If one of the guys has to, you know, do a radiator in and out, this is really, really easy, where that one, you can tell, is going to be a lot more complicated to take out of there. But this one's a little bit less breakable and a little bit closer to the back. So the one other thing this does that kind of sucks, it blows hot air on you. So if you're out mowing grass, it's right there, so the air goes, like, you know, right over your legs, which can be kind of crappy. But otherwise, that's fine. It's just a difference in design. Now, engine manufacturer, right? Let's talk about Yanmar. They make a great engine, phenomenal engine, one of the best on the market. But Mahindra is not Yanmar. So when Mahindra puts this in the tractor, it's an Indian company. Mahindra makes the rest of this tractor, actually. It's an Indian company buying a Japanese engine, sticking it in their tractor, and then shipping it to an American facility to sell it. So let's talk about years down the road. What if that relationship dissolved? It could make parts really, really weird. One of the things I really hammer home on Kioti is that they make everything in this. It's their castings, their axles, their engine and transmission, them. From the ground up. This is a Daedong tractor out of South Korea, so everything in them is made by them for them. We still get parts for stuff that was 1986, first in the country, regularly. You know, people can bring that here and we can work on it. They can buy parts for it because Kioti made it and they've made the commitment to supply parts for it. If you ever have a relationship dissolve, and I'm not saying this like it's some kind of thing that may happen, we as a dealership have had manufacturers who didn't make their own equipment. They just basically painted their color, or it was a different engine in there, and I'm telling you, the headaches you get years down the road. One of them, and I'm talking about Cub Cadet Yanmar. We're a very large Cub Cadet dealer, 20th biggest dealer in the country. So we had Cub Cadet Yanmar tractors, and it was when Yanmar wanted to come into the country on their own, and they kind of wanted to do a thing here, but they didn't want to pay for it themselves, so they went through Cub Cadet and supplied their little tractors here that way. And then suddenly they decided not to, so they basically just said bye and they disappeared, and now we have customers with tractors in the field and virtually no parts support through Cub Cadet because Cub Cadet was shut off from Yanmar. So that could happen at any time, and it could happen here too. The good news is it's a Yanmar. You can go to a John Deere dealer and probably get most parts for this, but if you are going to rely on your local dealer that you buy this tractor from, that could be weird. Just pay attention to that. And a company that makes all their own equipment, not nearly as difficult. You can be confident that that manufacturer is going to supply this stuff down the road. So kind of a big deal there. There's only actually 8 manufacturers that I know of in the US that make their own equipment. So maybe when you're looking at a tractor, if you're not looking at either of these, whoever you're looking at, make sure they make their stuff, you know, that's kind of important. So let's look at serviceability on these before we go to the next one. So engine oil filter, dipstick, right there. Over here, we're gonna have all your other, you know, your fuel pump, your injection pump, all that stuff's on this side, fuses and relays. So it's all really easy to get to on both models, right? Over here, we've got really similar engine oil and filter, dipstick, oil fill, super simple. So that's cool. Let's go to the operator station next. All right, let's talk operator station. So I started on this side. I forgot I can't get on this side, so I have to go around. Hold on. So operator station. Let's talk about space and ergonomics and standard equipment. So they're going to be real similar. You know, there's only so many ways to skin a cat, and subcompacts are only a certain size, but what do you get for the money, and how does it laid out, and how's it made? So pretty flat operator station on both. Most subcompacts are that way. Older tractors had a big hump here you had to climb over, but because subcompacts aren't made the same way, they're generally pretty open. There is some stuff in the floor here. So this has parking brake. This is actually the parking brake switch, so you use your other foot to push on that, which is a decent system. This is a twin pedal, or I'm sorry, a rocker pedal as opposed to twin pedal. So that can be kind of annoying. It depends on who you are. That's totally up to personal preference. I don't like it personally because I have to move my leg back and forth constantly to use it. And that rear reverse pedal is kind of in the way. So if I'm trying to climb over it, although again, I can't get off on that side, so it doesn't really matter. But if I'm trying to climb over it, I can trip on that. It kind of sucks. But the Kioti is real similar. Nice open operator station. You can get on and off both sides, and it's got a twin pedal hydrostat. So nice left and right reverse. You don't have to trip over anything. You don't have to move your leg. You just move your foot to go between forward and reverse. Standard equipment on the Kioti. So nice turn signal relay with a horn. It's the same one they put on the bigger tractors. Tilt steering, push button PTOs over here, throttle, key switch, road flashers. That's the parking brake lever on this. It's up out of the floor. Selectable PTO, deck height control, cruise control, standard equipment. USB charging and 12-volt charging. Cell phone holder, cup holder. Over here you got toolbox, diesel fill, and it's actually a twin cap. So you have a little spout and a big spout depending on what kind of can you have or pump or whatever. 3-point and deck height raiser lower, loader control, high-low range for the hydrostat, and loader lockout lever. Down here you have 4-wheel drive, differential lock, and 3-point speed control. So let's talk about the Mahindra. We've got high-low range, 3-point and deck control, 4-wheel drive selector, PTOs over here on the right, fill cap for the diesel, PTO selector, similar, 12-volt charging, cup holder. Down here we've got differential lock, deck height control, and that's kind of interesting. It's in like a dial system, so you've got, I think this means 3 inches, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 4. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know exactly how to use that. So the dial system that controls the deck height where it stops. The Kioti has a lever right here. This has a dial. 3-point speed control. So similar. We are lacking a horn. We don't have a horn. We don't have tilt steering. We don't have USB charging. We don't have cruise control. We don't have a few things that the Kioti has standard equipment. What I will say that I do appreciate about the Mahindra, one, the seat. It's a nice seat. It does come with armrest standard. The Kioti, you have to add them for like $100. This seat is really nice and padded. It's pretty comfortable. I got to give them credit where credit's due. What I don't like is there's a giant gaping hole under the seat. So very easy to lose stuff down there. And some of your switches and things are exposed to the elements. Where the Kioti has a nice plate that covers everything. See? So no exposed wires or things like that under the seat. On the operator station itself, again, we got a steel hood up front, plastic. This is actually metal, although pretty thin. See, flexible. This is plastic. So on the Kioti, this is steel, and it's actually a lot thicker. I mean, get your hands on both, you'll see what I mean. And steel fenders. We also have these nice grab handles, and I can tell you, That's actually a really big deal. Where I mow my grass a lot on mine, I have a lot of hillside at home, and I use this constantly. I always keep one hand on it. It's kind of a stability thing. Also climbing on and off the tractor. We don't have those over here. Probably because this is plastic and they don't want to rip holes in it. So yeah, similar operator stations, but the Kioti has a lot more equipment and is a lot more accessible. Drive both, I'm telling you, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's talk mower decks next. So I'm always a really big fan of the Kioti mower deck. I'm going to talk about it first. It is nice. We'll say it simply, but we'll go over it. So it's a 10 gauge steel deck, nice heavy welds and everything. It's got this nice reinforced lip that goes around the outside, and that basically that works as like an anti-scalp. So if you hit something with the deck, it kind of rolls over it instead of grabbing the deck and hurting the steel. So that lip goes all the way around. The huge thing that makes these different than most, every spindle and pulley system in here is fully cast and greasable. So it's really big, heavy-duty cast spindles. I didn't take the cover off, so we can't really see it, but you can get to the grease fittings on top. The belt is a big double V belt sit-up, so it lasts a long time. I'm getting an average of 500 to 700 hours when people come in for their first belt change. It's ridiculous how long that belt lasts. So nice quick attach system, big heavy cast pulleys and spindles that are all greasable, big heavy double V belt, heavy deck, drive over system. Nice, right? Over here you've got a flexible rubber chute that is foldable, right? So you can get it up out of the way, and I hit stuff with it and it just flexes out of the way. It doesn't hurt anything. Again, greasable spindles, so really nice. So on the Mahindra, this is the 50M deck. It's 54 inches wide, so it's still current production. Again, this one is used, so it's a little ugly, but that's okay. Imagine it new. So this is a 54-inch deck. It's the only one you can put on this model. This is a 60-inch deck. You can put both a 54 and a 60 on this model, and they're basically the same price. Down here, it's a little bit lighter. This is what used to be a plastic chute that spring-loaded down. So it broke off and he left it off. I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. You can't fold it up out of the way. Single belt, and that's kind of a big deal. So this is just a little dinky belt. It's going to be replaced a lot more frequently, I can tell you that. Also, all the pulleys on this are, from what I can tell, not greasable. I haven't been able to find the only spot I saw that was greasable on here was the little pivot arm that the idler pulley runs on. So I don't think that's going to last nearly as long, but that's up to you to find out if you buy one. So a little bit lighter, similar deck thickness, but a little bit lighter construction, similar quick attach system. Much lighter spindles and pulleys. Yeah, I mean, it's just, look at them for yourself. You'll see what I'm talking about. So that's the deck. All right, let's talk about the rear end. We like to look at the tractor's rear end, right? Okay, that was a bad joke. But I want to talk about the construction and the accessibility of the rear end of both of these. It's actually important on a tractor because that's where your PTO is, and that's where you check your hydraulic fluid, and you know, you're going to be back here a lot if you're actually running implements on this thing. So the rear end of the Mahindra is, actually, let's ignore this for now. We'll come back to it. The rear end of the Kioti is all cast. You've got a hydraulic oil fill on top. You've got a dipstick for that hydraulic oil right there. Fully adjustable 3-point arm like normal. You do have the internal check chains and they run on the inside, but where they're out here, you have a lot of access to the center. Your drawbar is actually right there. You can get to it. Your PTO is accessible. It's a flip-up PTO cover, so you can get in there and work. Category 1 3-point hitch, top link is all right there. So really nice, well laid out, easy to get into and work on. Look for yourself, you'll see what I'm talking about. On the Mahindra, we have nice heavy 3-point arms, just like normal, but it's a little bit annoying. I don't really like this system. I don't know. Basically, these tensioners always kind of fold down and you can't really get to the drawbar. The drawbar is basically just a little hole. It's not even really a bar, it's just a draw hole. The PTO is not flip up. It's not you know, as accessible, and there's hydraulic oil fill on top. I haven't figured out where the dipstick is. It may be made into this. I have to pull it out and find out, but just overall not nearly as accessible back here. A little weird. I don't know. Come look for yourself. This one's going to be for sale, so you can actually come look for yourself. So overall, I want to go over some actual specs on these things, like the big numbers that we're dealing with. So total weight. Weight is really important when it comes to tractors, especially little tractors, because every bit of poundage you have means you're going to be able to move a little bit more weight confidently without flipping the thing over. So total weight of the Kioti between tractor, loader, mower deck, and assuming the rear tires are filled, which we always, if you see anything purchased from us, the pricing is including rear tires filled for the most part. That's because these lift so much that we always make sure the tires are filled to counterweight that loader lift. That one doesn't have tires filled on it, but let's assume that it did. It's the same size tire, so it adds the same amount of weight to both. So the Kioti tractor loader deck and tires filled is 2,633 pounds. The Mahindra is 2,396 pounds, so it's about 240 pounds lighter. Let's talk about engine horsepower. So this is a 20 horse engine. It's actually 19.6, I think. It's like 61 cubic inch. I don't know why Mahindra says they have the largest displacement in class. They don't. This is an inch and a half larger displacement at like 62.5, but whatever. But 20 horsepower, 22 horsepower, right? So a little bit more horsepower. That's also going to translate to the PTO. So we have about 14 and a half PTO horsepower here. We have about 16 and a half here. So, or maybe even into the 17s. Oh, that spec's in my pocket, I'll tell you for sure. Hold on. I should know that, but the numbers are just, there's so many numbers going over these things. Yeah, 16.3, I was right on. So PTO horsepower on a small tractor means a ton, because all of your implements this size are going to have a minimum spec, and when you're only dealing with a horsepower number in the teens, you really want to make sure you hit that spec or try to go above it. So 4-foot tillers that are heavy gear drive tillers generally want about 15 at the PTO. 4-foot bush hogs generally want about 15 at the PTO. So we're just under that on that guy, right? But we're right at where we want to be on this guy. So extra engine horsepower, extra PTO horsepower. That means a world of difference. Weight, size, lift capacities, both front and rear. That means a world of difference. The way it's made, the construction of the components, I mean, everything on it. Just look at every single thing on it, and I think you'll see that this guy is going to win out over the EMAX competition in almost every single spec, except for the fact that that has armrests on it. So don't take my word for it. I understand that I sell these things, but also understand that I bought one of these things because I believe this is the best subcompact tractor on the market. It will eat the competition alive, especially when that's the competition. So look at them for yourself. And you know what? I haven't even gotten to the best part. Let's talk pricing. So I did some competitive research and I looked at some pricing on these things. So this is current as of today, August in 2022. This could change, obviously. They could get cheaper and we could get more expensive, but as of today, you can buy a CS2220 with a loader and a deck, cash money, out the door with the tires filled, everything besides sales tax, for $16,997, basically $17,000 for everything. You can buy that one for $19,000, and I don't even know if that includes tires filled. $19,000, so $2,000 more expensive. Again, don't take my word for it. Look for yourself. Your local area may be a little bit different. Maybe your dealer's selling these for more or they're selling theirs for less. I don't know. But in my area, $2,000 more expensive for what, as far as I can tell, in almost every way, shape, and form, is a lesser machine. Do the research for yourself. You know what? I forgot one thing. And actually, this is something that's important. 6-year powertrain warranty without any hour limit. 2-year bumper to bumper. Again, no hour limit. 7-year powertrain warranty with a 3,000 hour limit, and 2-year bumper to bumper with a 2,000 hour limit. So their warranty is actually a year longer. You don't really have to worry about the hour limits because nobody ever really hits those anyway. Like this guy's had his for 2 years and he's actually used it, but it was, 150 hours. So it's very, very low hours, but 7 years, it does have a year of extra warranty. I don't know how Mahindra fulfills their warranty. I don't know if they're really good or really bad. I haven't heard too many bad things about them, but it does have 1 year longer warranty on it. So you got to give them credit where credit's due. But overall, size, weight, lift capacity, building materials, build quality, standard equipment, the Kioti wins every time. And I'm going to put all those specs down below in the description. I'm going to probably post them, like you'll see them pop up over the video, so you'll have seen most of them. But do your own research. Always shop from a local dealer. You know, make sure you have a good stout dealer before looking at the equipment itself. But if you have a good dealer for both of these, just look at that one. I mean, I'm telling you, just look at all the numbers. It's going to lead you to the CS. So yeah, that's it. I'm Nathan at Kitten Equipment Company. I am Northern Kentucky's 5-paw Premier Kioti dealer, and I've got these in stock. If you're interested in one and you want to come and see one, come and see me. Our phone number is 859-356-9091, or you can visit us at www.kentonequipment.com. Thanks.